When you are. Seminary Square. I'm going to call the Beechwood Board of Education February 14th, 2022 meeting to order.
Take attendance, Mrs. Berger?
Here.
Dr. Salvignano?
Here.
Ms. Stricker?
Here.
Ms. Sullivan?
Here. Okay, we're going to recognize our guests tonight. We have the 2021 Class AA Football Championship players, cheerleaders, and coaches. So, do you want to?
All right, so first of all, it's always a great opportunity to be able to recognize our students. I will say that one way to get a bunch of high school guys and gals not to show up to a board meeting is put their recognition on Valentine's Day, and it's a day that we did not have school. So number one, I apologize for both of those situations. I did not realize that whenever we first looked at February to recognize the cheerleaders and the football team. Second thing I'll say is that it's becoming a little bit more commonplace. I think the first time we won my first the championship when I was first here, we had we had an absolute packed house. All right, after 5 out of the last 7, we're dwindling down to where it's not as massive of an issue to come be recognized by the board. I mean, heck, I don't even believe I see our head coach out there, so I'm really going to give him a hard time. So all joking aside, I do have to say before we even recognize our student athletes and cheerleaders that it is always an amazing thing as the superintendent and the board for you guys and gals to go perform and represent the school in such a way, not just winning championships, but the fact that we rarely get an unsportsmanlike penalty called on us. I mean, we rarely look undisciplined on the field, and all those things are not only a representation to you, your families, the coaching staff, but also the institution as well. So from Mike Stacy as superintendent, I absolutely do not take that lightly, and want you to know how much I appreciate that as your superintendent. Ms. Schultz and Ms. Schultz, I also want to make sure that we do our job recognizing your fine group of young ladies. They're there during thick or thin. They're like the mailman. Rain, sleet, snow, or hail. I mean, they are right there on the sidelines. And sometimes they even have to take the Twinkies to the away games, and I hear all about that. But if you all wouldn't mind, number one, thank both of you. And Shelby comes over from Kenton County White's Tower to also work. Thank both of you for your time and your efforts. I know it's a long season for you too. But if you would like to announce, and since we won't come up and do all, we'll have medals for you tomorrow. Ms. Reed will pass those out. But if you don't mind just announcing the girls, ladies, and let us give them a good clap, round of applause.
And thank you for recognizing us this evening too, because I think we can all agree too, the culture and the climate of the football program would be very different without these ladies showing up and doing their part every Friday night. So we have with us tonight Emma Hetzel and Madison Wells and Peyton Smith and Ms. Morgan Thorpe, Addison Wells, who also not Addison Wells, Addison Bradley, Erwin McGuire, Aaliyah McClendon, and Ms. Sledbecker, one of our captains. So thank you again for
And I will say, ladies, I know it's a long, as a former head coach, not only do you do football, but then you turn right around, do basketball. It's a very long season, so I absolutely appreciate your time and efforts. All right, now, look at these two studs back there, Mr. Shepard and Mr. Hatfield. Okay. If the coach picked you two to represent, I mean, we're going to have a double talk. All right. So after you've been here a while, you get to see kids develop and grow over time. Two skinny little runts that have turned into Not only good football players, but great kids. And they're not skinny anymore. I think I still got a bruise from Mr. Shepard and B for B. Not skinny anymore. Great run as seniors, guys. How many state championship games do you all played in?
3.
All right. Great job. I'm absolutely impressed. It's been a pleasure to watch you grow as not only students but athletes, but as young men, and especially you got great futures ahead of you. So I won't say anything more since Noel's not here. I do have to compliment Noel though. Noel has a great program. Great program. You can see the foundational elements put in middle school. You can see how they build off of those through high school. The way he's infused his weightlifting program, for not only just to get speed, but as I can attest, to still maintain the strength and not lose that just to get speed. It's just been absolutely, it's just a great program. So we're appreciative of him and the coaches as well. So gentlemen, thank you for coming tonight. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations and thank you all for coming. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you have other plans, feel free to leave. Okay, we're going to move on. Public comment. Do we have anybody who would like to make a public
Ladies
comment?
and gentlemen, parents, thank you for coming. Much
Yes, thank
appreciated.
you.
Sorry.
No worries. Anybody would like to make a public comment?
No, but I would like to make one more recognition if it's okay with you.
Absolutely.
I always try to recognize new employees when they attend their first board meeting. We have Miss Stephanie Layton, who is been newly appointed to the business liaison and development position. So Stephanie started last week, and this is her first official board meeting. So just like to officially welcome her to the Beechwood team.
Welcome. And we're thrilled to have you.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay, we're going to move on to the discussion and action agenda. First item is the change order 6-1 for Phase 6 addition. Do I have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the change order 6-1 to McAndrews Windows and Glass in the amount of $7,427.11 in order to provide and install brake metal enclosure, spray foam insulation, and sealant at window heads.
I'll second.
Okay, typically, change orders are typically bad words. This change order, when you did the addition or the initial build that opened in 2010, there was a problem with the windows. They were missized. So to make a match, they put the same strip across the top on the new build. That was a mistake, not listing that out of the gate. So we have disputed this change order, even though it's a contractual agreement. That's just the way it works because it's an additional cost. They have agreed to donate the full amount of the change order to our capital campaign. So even though you're approving it, they're going to reimburse us for that cost.
Okay. Any discussion?
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Salvagnano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes. Okay, our next item is change order 7-1 for Phase 6 addition. Do I have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve change order 7-1 to OKI Interiors Corp. in the amount of $445.88 in order to add bulkhead at entrance door to E213 to create a pathway for ductwork.
I'll second. Sorry.
This one, a total amount of $445.88. We still have a construction credit. I'm not disputing this change order. I think it's a reasonable issue. So they will be taking the $445.88 out of that credit that we have in the construction account.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Nope.
Ready? Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes. Okay, item C, change order 14-1 to Phase 6 addition. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve change order 14-1 to Bison Services in the amount of $8,485 to provide labor and materials to add fire dampers and access panels. I'll second.
This is another one that has been disputed, and there's absolutely no reason that this one should be on us. After the dispute, Bison has agreed to pay the full amount to the capital campaign.
Any discussion?
No.
Ready? Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes. Okay, our next item is an addendum to the Board Policy 5.1. It's the first reading. It does not need to be approved.
Since this is first reading, and Ms. Sullivan did ask that we make one amendment. It will not show on yours, but if it's okay, if we can just include that in the first reading. Along with school, gymnasium, auditorium, that whole onslaught of items, she wanted to add labs and other facility areas. I think that was a good addition.
Yeah.
Number one, it identifies one specific area that we are looking at and leaves a vague area if something were to be added later on that might also be in that, mainly the gym or locker rooms. If that were to be a portion, we won't identify them. We'll just say other facilities. But I thought that was a good amendment, and if it pleases you guys, we'll add that in and still consider that the first reading.
Where are you placing it?
All right, see where it's in the red under considerations shall include number
okay.
2. Oh, I'm sorry. Right above that, superintendent shall develop procedures to discuss and suggest facility names. Areas subject of naming recommendations include school, gym, auditorium, library, cafeteria. All right, she wanted
Labs right there. That makes
labs
sense.
or other facilities added at the end, and I think that was a great catch.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I think I'd also sent you the cost breakdowns. It seemed like the feedback on that was okay.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
And if there's no other changes, we'll pass it on to next month to have the full adoption of the policy.
Okay.
And just want to make sure, I just think it's important. There's a lot of names around. I just really want to make sure that we were all clear. You know, if we're going to accept money and put somebody's name on something, then they should know exactly what they're getting, and the board should be protected in that relationship as well. So just clarifying. I would also caution, just as a mental note, if you ever want to decide to name something big as a board after someone, as in honor or memory, you know, whatever, I would also suggest before doing that, you go in and put the partner to this policy. This one is about naming donations. You should also look at, if you ever wanted to broach that, to creating a policy around that as well, just as a side
Yeah, I
note.
think we should.
I mean, if you want, we can do that, you know, this summer within our, but just anytime there's a name attached to anything, there should be a clear
Right.
set of, you know, in my opinion, and as your advisor, if you're going to name something in honor, there should be some kind of rubric
There
or.
isn't on there now?
I'm sorry.
It wasn't in there now?
You don't have any naming. I mean, which sounds odd for, you know.
No, but because of our history, we need to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a good protection for you guys, and
Yeah.
it keeps stuff from just popping up with names on them. All right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off track.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
We'll put the donation document on. I don't think that necessarily needed to be on, but just in case, it's public record and everybody sees it. We are adding a morning duty stipend for a crosswalk down at Page.
Didn't we already have that? Or did it go away somewhere?
We had 3. It just depends on how, we're just adding a 4th, morning duty. We have showering in the afternoon, but we didn't necessarily have a morning. So kids, afternoon's more about the traffic, and morning's gonna be about traffic too, but also just the kids crossing. So you added, the last one we added was showering to do afternoons.
But we used to have a morning, so,
We have a morning in front of the Tiger, over at Beechwood
right,
Road.
but we used to have a morning on, down by Page.
Yeah.
So with that one away?
I guess. I mean, I can't remember.
It's
That was a
only
while,
been- I
that was a
mean,
long time ago. We used to
I
have
think
somebody.
that went away
after-
when we hired the sheriff.
Yeah.
I don't remember having a morning.
Because we had
Page.
some staff that were not feeling safe doing it.
Oh,
Is that what
is
you're
that
talking
when, what's his name got hit? Mark, that's when when he got hit. Yeah. Or
Right.
nudged out of the way.
Yeah, it wasn't at the high school entrance, it was at the
Yeah.
Page side.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And we did have the sheriff's deputy down there, but then we were having trouble with people turning into the high school
Sheriff's
from the
has always been
elementary.
up there. Sheriff's always been in the high school side. Well, I don't know, he's not there now.
I should not have brought that up. That's like self-harm right there.
Yeah, well,
So just add, I don't think we needed that on the consent agenda either. I mean, you already have approved stipends, we're just adding one, but just for clarity, everything else is, just reoccurring events.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, issues? No?
You ready?
Okay, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Need to vote.
we need to
Gotta
vote.
vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Salvignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker? Ms.
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
All right, I have several things on the superintendent's report tonight. The first is update on the counseling programs. You all approved an additional position in the counseling department. Therefore, I think it's very critical for us to come back and show you how we've added to, or what the process is for improvement of the counseling program. And Ms. Burgai is supposed to do this. She's sick. She's not here tonight. So you'll have to bear with me. The good thing about getting me is you're going to get the shorter version. Just a couple of things. If you'll look at the screen, we want to try to look at a more inclusive counseling program. We're sitting on one campus. Because we're on one campus, we're able to do some things that typically you can't do in other school systems. And that is be more of a K-12 counseling program as opposed to isolated by elementary, middle, or high. Going through a program map, she's in the process of doing that right now, and really getting feedback for the SEL program, how to improve SEL, social emotional health throughout the school. You'll see on your printout as she's starting to go through and isolate specific actions that are happening in each grade level. I think that's a great thing to start with. I will say that during our time, if there has been one thing that has improved, it's the amount of social emotional health, the focus on social emotional health of all of our kids. Currently, they have submitted surveys to all stakeholders to get feedback, which is another thing that we requested. We really wanted to see what parents, students, what aspects that they feel like we're good and doing a great job on, or what areas of growth are needed. February through April, they'll analyze the evaluation and create a 3-year goal / plan, and the counseling team will present that to the principals, and then come back and look at not only implementation, but what has to happen on a yearly basis to be able to implement those. And then finally, which is what you're probably most interested in, is the April 11th board meeting. The counseling team will come and present a 3-year plan to you guys. So it'll not only encompass the social emotional, which is one of the things that you requested with an additional staff person that we really try to focus on. That's why you see it broke out separately. Not only just social emotional health, but also how we are improving the experience for our students, not only on K-12, but in transition to post-secondary. And that's another one that you hear Mr. Kaiser talk about a lot, is that year 13, how are we supporting, how are we finding out, how are we gaining information for kids in that first year of post-secondary. I'm excited. I think this is the most organized we've been. I'm excited to see what they bring in for the April 11th board meeting as far as their 3-year plan. Now, if you have any questions, Mr. Kaiser, Mr. Ashley, be more than happy. They work with them. I'm just kind of filling in up here tonight, but they work with them on a much, on a more day-to-day basis. But if you have any questions, we'll be more than happy to try to answer. If not, we'll be able to get that presentation for the April meeting to you guys ahead of time, because I'd really like to see you all to see it. Not that it can't be changed on the meeting night, but I'd really like you to see it ahead of time. So if there's any additions that you have, we can make those changes for the 11th.
Perfect. Okay, on to the finance report.
My apologies, I took my glasses off, I can't see. Chris, do you have anything on the finance report?
I mean, we highlighted some of the stuff last week or last month, but it's really to see where we're seeing some increases in maintenance, and the snow removal is a little more this year than prior years, and what we budgeted just because there's more snow. So that's where you're going to see some spikes, I think, a little bit of a minor spike, that's all.
I think I passed along Chrissy's mid-year report, and that's something that we're really trying to do. She did a great job.
That was very helpful.
Yeah,
Put
thank you.
together each category and kind of where we were trending. So great job to her. But that's just our internal mechanisms to try to see and project. As of today, if nothing changes, we should hit all of our projections on contingency and everything else that we talked about from the beginning. So as of today, we've been able to maintain and stay strong. Anything else? I know that we're going to probably bring stipends, some different reviews for you guys at the March. We're going to start doing that internally in March to be able to bring something to you guys in April. There's several adjustments that need to be made to a couple of different items. So we'll be working on those throughout the next month. And we'll also let you know kind of specifically what our intent is with those two documents.
The only other thing is if you wanted to bring up that one incident with the check, the one with the check, if you wanted to bring that up, I thought you were going to bring that up, but you don't need to.
We're just continuing to dispute the check. Okay.
Yeah.
We had a check that was intercepted to the Codell Construction. Someone created an account for Codell Construction at a different bank, took the check and cashed it. Yeah. So we've gone through the steps. The bank should have never cashed it. They violated their internal banking agreement, but they put for deposit only. So it was a newer teller that saw deposit only, didn't double check like they were supposed to.
How much was it?
$40,000. But it's okay. We've gone through the process. A subpoena was delivered to the bank on Monday. Our bank has also disputed the withdrawal. So it's going to be a process, but I mean, getting the money back's that's not concern number one, but there are controls in place for that. Finding out exactly who cashed it and where they got their hands on it, that's my bigger concern. Right now, as a precaution, any payment that goes to Codell is going to be certified mail, just as a precaution. We have no idea though whether it was just delivered wrong by the mail to someone, or whether someone was able to access, from their mailbox. But just as a precaution, that's going to be a control that we put into place. We deal with these things more often, but based on the size of the check, it's not a bad thing that you guys know. But like I said, if the gentleman who cashed it had presented an ID, even though it was for deposit only, there should have been some checks and balances that did not happen. And that's our saving grace. The bank didn't do what they were supposed to do before they cashed the check. So it'll be a process to get it back, but we'll get the money back. It's just whether or not we'll find out and be able to catch who did it. I'll keep you updated.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the energy performance contract. And
Okay, I have Andrew Collins and Tim Hockensmith here tonight to help, because I'll probably make a lot of mistakes if I try to go too far in. But the gist of an energy performance contract in relation to a new build, typically you all would probably have heard of energy management more from the person that we've had come in and look at lights, how to manage sensors going on when you walk in the restroom, lights going off when you walk out, all those different things, LED lighting, all those things that you can put in place to save money. But this one's a little bit different. This would be an energy performance contract that would be in conjunction with our phase 2 build of the project, and it basically centers around the use of solar panels and putting solar panels into the project. Long story short, you would pull that off of the bid package. You would do a separate BG1, and CTMA would basically pay for the installation of the solar panels along with the other energy performance topics that they have in place. And then over the life of the bond, they would take some of that cost savings back as a payment for putting that in front. Give us a little extra breathing room on our bond, and then they'll go into detail on all this. But for me, it's if the solar panels outlive their warranty, the warranty for 20 years, if they outlive their warranty, every year after that, the board would have a revenue stream from the energy that would be produced from the project. And, I'll come back to it. I'm going to turn it over to these gentlemen. If you can just project, or as a matter of fact, you can come up here if you want, Andrew. Yeah, come on up. Come on up. Tim, if you want to come too, yeah. Just pull you a white chair on your way. That way people at home can also hear us. And they have the packet that you gave me, if there's anything specifically that you want them to see.
Good deal. Thank you for being here. I'm Andrew Collins, and this is Tim. Very simply, energy performance contract it's a financing tool. So what a performance contract does is we're going to come. We audited the facilities. We know that there's a good economic opportunity for solar arrays on this facility. And what we will say is we will guarantee this many savings in your operating budget. So that's going to carve a piece of pie out for you. And what you're going to do is that savings will be used to finance upgrades to your facility. So it'll be used to pay for the solar array. It'll be used potentially to pay for things like lighting or different ways to control the building's HVAC. And once the financing is paid for, that's just cash flow back to the district's general fund, essentially. So we talked with Mike about a few different scope items. One is a solar array on the new section of the building or the renovated section of the building. One is a comprehensive LED lighting upgrade throughout the rest of the facility. There are spots in the facility that have LED lights already. And another is some controls adjustments based on things like making sure that the building, when it's unoccupied, we're not heating the space all the way up to 75 degrees or something like that. We're making sure we're setting back spaces as they should be set back, is what we call it, set back. So that's kind of a general overview of the scope that we presented to Mike. And maybe
I'll just add, I know next week, I think, some of you folks may be attending the KSBA conference. And at that conference, most school boards are represented there. And I'm losing track. I've been around. I was a school administrator for a long time. Andrew's the engineer, but we've got 172 districts now, Mike?
171.
171. It used to be 176.
Yeah.
And the numbers are going down. So 171, I believe we've worked with projects like this to a varying degree, one degree or another, in 26 of those districts. The majority of those districts will be represented there at KSBA. We're glad to provide you a list of all those folks that we've worked with and encourage you to talk to them. What I can tell you is I've just compiled this data recently. We have, in the last decade, provided back to schools, Mike mentioned it, so did Andrew, excess savings. So you get to upgrade your facilities, and you do it with money you're already spending. And when we provide or produce excess savings, you're improving your bottom line in your general fund while improving your buildings without touching your bonding capacity. So what we've done for districts in Kentucky the last 10 years, just in K-12 school districts, $7.5 million worth of excess savings after the guarantee's been met, $7.5 million. And that's just the type of work that we deliver, and it's an opportunity for you folks to benefit from that. I think there's a really good opportunity for Beechwood Independent to take advantage of that.
One thing, we've started upgrades of lighting for the last 6 years, but with the amount of summer projects that we've had, our maintenance staff just haven't been able to continue, changing out ballasts and getting all of that done. So I think LED and the energy saving costs for that alone is absolutely amazing. To be able to add solar to the project and not increase the cost past what we would be able to do is value add number 2. Value add number 3, and I'm going to continue saying if those solar panels outlive the life of the bond, then your energy savings go from here to here. I mean, because you're getting revenue back at the same time. So I've looked through. They actually were kind enough to do 2 different scopes of the project that you'll see. One is basically on the new build. One that would add solar. I mean, everywhere. I mean, there might be solar on top of the dugouts. I mean, it's everywhere. I don't think that's necessarily an awful idea, but just because I haven't done one before, I'm recommending to start, do the first project, get it in, and then if we so choose, or the board so chooses, we can come back and increase that at a later time. But that's going to be my general recommendation, unless you guys have any problems or questions. The process would move tonight. You would be informed. We'd have months to have dialogue or have conversations about the energy performance contract. Next month, you would come back and basically approve a contract, and on the execution of that contract, then that would start initiating a new BG1 that would go to move for this project alone.
You're very close. The
Very
next
close.
month, I think, you're very close.
I like that.
Okay.
It's almost.
The, next month, we see you approving a letter of intent to the Department of Education. Then shortly thereafter, I think, the type of project Andrews looked at for Beechwood, it's not HVAC renovation. You're already doing that. It is something that can be pulled together more quickly than a typical project where we go in and tear out ceilings and redo the entire facility. This project can certainly come together quicker than that. Don't know if next month you'd be approving a contract, but certainly it can move very fast. So I think the next step is that letter of intent. And one thing I want to add, these projects are different than traditional projects, and in addition to not needing to use your capital funds, you're not obligating or spending a dime until you ultimately get all the way to the end to where you're approving a final contract. You're not obligating a dime until you know exactly what everything is going to cost and exactly the savings that's going to generate. So that's, I think...
Yeah, and it definitely won't be consecutive months. I mean, we may be summer before, because this project isn't even officially starting until June 1. So
yeah. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, I want to make sure I mention this. I mentioned the conference, and again, I know some of you all may be there. We are doing a session at the conference with one of our customers. You've probably already signed up for all your classes, but if you get an opportunity to attend that session, I think it's Saturday morning. We're presenting with Owensboro Independent, and that project did include a lot of solar work. Those folks can share with you. They'll be there in addition to the CMTA staff to talk about how that project went and how it's turned out for them.
Yeah, and I think one other note, if we don't have any questions tonight from board members, we're comfortable coming and doing a working session or doing anything like that to help clarify or to answer any questions that you may have after reviewing the PowerPoint.
I think once you guys get it more detailed and have the actual stuff laid out, I think that would be great. Tonight, I just wanted, because it is odd, and I'm sure it's something you've never done before, I just kind of wanted to make sure everyone was aware, there were no surprises before we come in with that kind of more official thing. Solar used to be a novelty. If someone added solar to a project, it was kind of a novelty. Over the last 5 to 7 years, I'll say it's not really a novelty anymore. The equipment, the technology has progressed to the point with the warranty now being in place for 20 years. I don't see, as your chief advisor, I don't see a loss on the smaller of the two projects. So
the warranty is like 20 years, but the life of the product is 25?
no. The warranty for the product's 20 years. If you every year past that, because the bond, you pay off the bond, right?
20.
Yeah, so everything after that, then some of the ways that they get reimbursed revert back to the school system. So, it's a little bit of a gamble after 20, but I think with the progression of the technology and the fact that you're not committing one dime, I mean, the life of any of that stuff, the life of traditional systems, aren't any different. So I just don't see. I've talked with Joe. I've talked with Andrew several times. I just don't really see a negative. The downside is just not strong enough on the list of pros and cons for me not to recommend the smaller project. And you'll be able to see those. I mean, in the detailed version of exactly what our utility bills have been for the last 24 months versus what their projections are, and be able to get a much better look at that yourselves. I just didn't want it to be a surprise. Any questions? All right, Jim, thank you so much. I know it's a drive up. I apologize, but we appreciate it, especially for one that, still a little bit of an odd topic, but we greatly appreciate it. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I think that'd be a great session. I'm planning on going.
Oh, down to KSB.
Yeah, I plan on going to that, so if you all want to join me,
I signed up for it.
all right. Or he signs me up, I just kind of go where I
You
want
just
to
wait till
go.
you see where you're going.
It's well documented that I'm probably
Yeah.
not going to follow.
Yeah,
I am excited. I mean, I just never thought about being able to afford solar for the project. I think it's a great opportunity for us.
Okay. You guys all saw the thank you notes from the Mayfield community. That was pretty special. Okay.
We've received several. I mean, you know, because we ended up, we didn't make, we really tried to publicize the donations, right? The trailers, because people are dropping stuff off. You want people to see stuff going. You know, we really didn't overly publicize the fact that we raised just over $100,000. And the breakdown of that, it was, you know, I remember saying if we got 10, I'd be happy. If I got 20, we'd do cartwheels. I went back on that. But because we raised so much, about 15,000 went to Dawson Springs, who had even more damage than Mayfield. 5,000 went to Bowling Green Independent, that lost the apartment complex with some of their migrant or immigrant populations. And then 80,000 went to Mayfield, and they decided to put that in a scholarship fund for any kid that would be has been affected by the tornadoes to be able to apply to. So it's not just a one-time up front, but kids can apply for that scholarship over a longer period of time. I did ask that they give us the rubric and kind of how they had finalized it. Not that you know, they were tickled to death. And they asked if they could use the first installment, and I don't think they would mind sharing this, it's public. They had a football player that had already scheduled to enroll early at Murray. And his family was going to have to pay his first semester before some of his academic scholarships and other scholarships kicked in. They lost everything, so they weren't able to financially do that. So the first payment went to pay for his semester of tuition at Murray.
Great.
And so that was an immediate help for one of their kids. But they all three have reached out multiple times privately and publicly. And then I think we got a couple. I told Roy to attach those for you guys. So a great response from the community and regional community. I mean, there were donations coming in from everywhere there at one point. So it's well done by everybody.
Okay, I'll take a motion to make the agenda part of the official board minutes.
I'll make the motion to make the agenda part of the official board minutes.
I'll second.
Second.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Salvignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes. Okay, other business. Anybody have anything they'd like to add?
I have a couple things. We had an alumni meeting last week, and I don't know if everybody got the save the date yet, but it's April 15th for the gala, Friday night. And we were starting to talk about the decommissioning committee, and the good news is three other alumni volunteered to be on that. And one of the things they suggested, which we thought was a good idea, is to look for things during the tear down that people might remember, whether it's a doorknob or something like that, that alumni might bid on.
Interesting idea. I like that.
And then the other thing, I attended the Poetry Out Loud for the high school a couple weeks ago, and it was the winners of English classes. They read their poem to family and friends, and it was really a nice event. It took a lot of guts, I think, for them to get up there and read it to the audience. They all did. It was incredible the job they did. And then they picked one student to represent us in the state. I don't remember the name, who won. Who was it? Yeah. She was really good. Well, they were all good. I don't know how you picked them. It was a neat event.
If you could send those names for the decommissioning to me,
Yes.
I would appreciate it.
Okay.
Noreen sent me one today as well. That will start at the end of the month. And I know tentatively, they've gone ahead and scheduled a walkthrough for anyone interested. One in April, and then another Memorial Day weekend. So I know those have kind of already been tentatively scheduled. But the decommission committee, you all will still have, and I'll need to know which one of you wants to serve on that as well, if it's not already been decided.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay. That'll start the end of the month. Again, you all will have final say, but I think it's important to have a couple of different times to walk through and then figure out if we can say brick or, you know, something to pass along as well. I know some people will want a memento, and I'm not good at all that, so I think that's great that we have a committee that'll oversee it. I want to just respect the building and the longevity and the history, so I'm glad the committee's doing that work. You had one. Dive.
Oh, I was just saying, when she was here, Addison Durant just was at a dive feed. I
Okay.
saw it on Facebook that she placed among the top, I don't know.
Top 10, I think.
12,
12?
yeah, state. So, that's what I was saying when she was
Oh,
still
she
here.
was-
Yeah. Mhm.
Yep, our elementary academic team played first at Governor's Cup this weekend. Yeah, they did an outstanding job.
And did forensics win region?
Emma, stop it, I'm in a board meeting.
All right, been a good month.
It has been. Okay,
And then, what group is going down to KSBA to perform on the Friday?
Band's taking a quartet, like a jazz or quartet.
I know, I just sent her, when they asked for it, I just sent them to see if we could do it.
And when are you all going? I mean,
Thursday,
Thursday.
everybody's gonna be there Thursday.
okay. What time are you all getting there?
Every-
Bless you.
Everybody will be there by dinner time, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bless you.
Early afternoon.
Okay. No, same as, that's what we know, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
And hey, Melanie, when they did alumni, that's like Easter weekend, right?
It's Good Friday.
Yeah, it is Good Friday.
Oh, yeah, the gala is
Yeah.
Good Friday.
Yes, it is.
It's the only time that Dries would give it to us for free. Didn't have it much scheduled. Actually did really well last year on the online.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean without an event?
Yeah. There's less work too.
No overhead. I mean, no overhead. I always look forward to it, but you know, when you don't have any overhead cost at all, it's 100% profit.
Okay, any other business? I will take a motion to adjourn then.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay. Yes, 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 yes.
Burger, Samiana,
Yes.
Sugar, Ms. Sullivan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
used to sending co-op, I almost made the motion to adjourn.